Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. And I gotta say, I had a lot of fun with NXT tonight. This NXT to me felt like it had a sense of purpose. We had returns, we had debuts, we had things to get hyped for about NXT TakeOver back to Brooklyn, and the tag team scene was on fire tonight. I thought this was a knockout episode personally. What'd you think, partner?
Yeah, man, this episode of NXT was definitely on point. I don't necessarily know if I would go as far as to say it was a perfect show, but I can't think of any big complaints right off the top of my head. There was a lot to like, there was a lot of good, there was a lot to be excited about, and I've got a lot that I want to say about it, so let's kind of get this baby moving.
Oh yeah, you and me both, brother. So with that said, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And it's feeling pretty good in the Arctic right about now because I got 0 heats of the night, 0 nitpicks. I'm just 150% electrified to talk about this show. Partner, what about you?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not ready to move to the Arctic and join you. This isn't Lucha Underground. It's still got flaws. But right now on this show specifically, I don't think that there are any really big flaws that make me want to scream or pull my hair out to the point that I'm really feeling making them Heat of the Night.
Hey, and you know what? That's great. So with that said, let us get right into our NXT review. And we get hyped up. We see a little bit of a video package for Hideo Itami. You know, he returns, and we get right into it. Our first match, Hideo Itami versus Sean Maluta. Partner, what'd you think of Hideo's return?
I thought Hideo's return was really good. I love that rather than having like one of these overly dramatic interview segments, we just bring him right back into what he does best, a wrestling match.
Yeah, I like that the return, the word I would use with the way you described it was seamless. You know, you didn't make a big, but you just put him right back in the mix. I liked Sean Maluta here. Hit a top rope face buster, pretty much a top rope code breaker, if you will, at one point. Got a headbutt at one point. So he got some offense. He wasn't completely punked out. But Hideo wasn't to be denied. I loved how aggressive he was in this. One standout moment was he had Sean Maluta down, and he took down his knee pad, and it seemed like he was going to knee him in the face or something. But then he jumped over, and then he just did kind of like an insulting little kick. It was like rubbing dirt off his shoe, like right to the face. So Hideo was definitely feeling it. He had a strike combo at one point that was just insane. Knocked Sean Maluta on his ass. And then he hits the, Phillips called it a running knee. Didn't look like a running knee to me. It looked like a running, sick kick. And
I
Hideo...
think it was just a Busaiku knee kick, like what Daniel Bryan used to use to finish his matches.
Okay, well, then I'll say Busaiku knee kick to win it. Hideo looked great here. And hopefully he gets back in the NXT title picture. I don't know if you saw, partner, and I would like your opinion on it later if you haven't in conversation, but I actually went because anybody, and you can see the video on the channel, it was obviously a rough day today, but I did go and I watched Hideo Itami's exclusive interview after his match, and there were people in the comments that said his English got a lot better, and I tend to agree. So I think we really do have a new and improved Hideo Itami on our hands here. It's very exciting to think about.
Very interesting. I didn't know about that last part. I'm going to have to go back and look at the interview as well. Yeah, that's great.
If you want to watch it now, while I keep giving my thoughts, I would love to have your thoughts in real time here on the program. So if you want to just...
Ooh, well, no, you know what? I don't want to do that because MP3 Skype recorder will probably pick up the audio for the interview, and I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
That happened today during G1. We were trying to record with this specific Skype recorder, and not only were we getting, the occasional, cutouts and skips and audio artifacts, but it also picked up the audio from the video that we were watching. So
right, I just didn't know if you wanted to like mute your mic while I talked and you just listened to it in real time. But
okay, I'll tell you what. I will attempt to do this. This is the first time ever a live reaction embedded into a TWitWoW.
There you go. Because I really want Ashton's thoughts on it, guys. I don't know if the people in the comments are being hyperbolic, but I did think Hideo's English. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's perfect, but I think he's ready to really get that main event push to the NXT Championship. I think he can carry that championship, do the promotional stuff. I certainly think he's, farther along than Asuka, but I would have thought that even before he got injured, because I didn't even think he was really that bad then. So it's great to see. I know some people were commenting like on my Twitter, and by the way, guys, sorry I couldn't live react or live tweet, I should say, to NXT. I don't really do that very often anyway, like NXT and Lucha Underground. I don't really live tweet for, but it was so cool to see that you guys were thinking about me for this. And for one other thing that we got that I can't wait to talk about, and I'm going to mark out too. But yeah, I saw some people, I think Lee, you were one, that said you didn't know if Hideo was still concerned about the shoulder because he only raised one arm and it wasn't the injured shoulder to you. If he is still concerned, it's understandable. I mean, commentary even said they could see the scar. I couldn't see any scarring. He looked great to me. He looked like he hadn't lost a step, which is amazing to see. And, again, hopefully he gets back in the NXT Championship hunt soon. I think this Hideo Itami, with all this, vim and vigor and furious strikes and all this stuff, could have a sick match with Samoa Joe. So here's to hoping that's in the cards. And, partner, do you have any reactions yet?
I don't necessarily know for sure if he's better at English in the sense that he understands more of the English language and he is better at communicating it, but what I will say is it seems to me, personally, like he has gotten more comfortable speaking English to the point that he can express himself better with his voice, with his expressions and that kind of stuff in English.
I would certainly, and I think that's a great sign. And you know something? I think improvements like that are what's going to keep his stock afloat, even despite being out of action for a full year. Like, and I will say this, guys, the biggest compliment I could give Itami personally, and then I'm going to field it to you, Ash, and see if you agree. Even being gone a year, even having this kind of setback, which is the worst kind of setback you could have in this industry, I still believe Hideo Itami is going to make it. Like, I still believe he has a work ethic and a likability to him that I think he's going to just transcend, and he's going to do everything we expected of him anyway, despite this setback. I mean, what do you think, partner?
Yeah, I believe I even might have said it once Hideo got injured, and even though I would never say it's a good thing, you can find, the silver lining to this cloud over Hideo's career that he's going to be able to sit back and learn now.
Absolutely. And you know what? Kudos to him, though, for taking the time to learn. Because anybody else, I mean, you don't know if guys, like, they just rest at home and they don't really have the drive to better themselves. Hideo used that time to better himself and take it from a guy that has been laid up, recuperating after surgeries and whatnot. I wasn't always the most productive guy, and I wish I would have been. So I really commend Itami for putting the best foot forward and bettering himself while he was out. I'm just so happy to have him back.
Definitely, yeah. Itami is, for the longest time, I've always felt like he is one of the best baby faces on the planet. The way that he is able to get fired up at a match and the way that he is able to convey that emotion and that sort of intensity, I think, I don't want to go there all the way, but I think that he has a fire in him that not even Nakamura could match.
Right.
And the only reason I brought that up is because so many people are saying once Nakamura signed, oh, well, Hideo Itami's obsolete now because they got another Japanese guy that kicks.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I think even though they are both Japanese guys, they are both baby faces, and they both kick a lot, I think the difference is the type of babyface, because Nakamura kind of is almost like a tweener in that he's kind of like overly brutal. He kind of has this aura about him where he's kind of a dick, but he's so cool that you can't help but cheer him, right? He's got a presence that you can't deny. Whereas with Hideo, I see him more of a babyface in the form of a Daniel Bryan, where he is this fiery underdog, aggressive, intense, almost Chris Benoit-esque competitor. And even though both of these guys will kick your head in, you're going to cheer for one of them because of how cool he is doing it, and you're going to get behind the other one because you're going to be able to live vicariously through Hideo.
I think that's a perfect articulation of where we're at, because I look at Shinsuke.
I think it really is the difference between The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
Because The Rock was always so cool, and he had this aura about him, and he had a presence, and that's sort of the Nakamura. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, yes, he was cool, and yes, he did have a presence, and so does Hideo. But what made him really special was that people related to him. People could get behind him. People, when Stone Cold Steve Austin said something or did something, people felt it. It wasn't just one man presenting to everyone else. It was Stone Cold, and it felt like all the fans were there with him.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I look at Nakamura, the one word that comes to my mind is magnetism. Like, he has this magnetic aspect that everybody just gravitates towards him.
He's a rock star.
He is. Whereas Hideo Itami, and I still mean this as a compliment to Hideo, I don't want to shirk him by any means, that man will just beat your ass. Like, honestly, from appearances, I would just be more scared to be in an alley with Hideo than Shinsuke. But then you see how hard Shinsuke hits, and you're like, oh, I should have feared them both the whole time. But Hideo doesn't mess around, man. He fucked Sean Maluta up tonight, and it was amazing. That boot he did in the corner, and I know I just got done saying, like, I hated the comparisons with Shinsuke, and I did hear the same things you heard, but it was so Shibata-esque, and it shows you I've got G1 on the brain, that I'm like, oh, man, I want to see Hideo versus Shibata now. Hopefully Shibata would fare better against him than he did against Toriano, but I digress. And, yeah.
You are never going to let him.
Why should I? 2 years in a row. 2 years. But yeah, man, I missed Hideo. And, that's a funny thing to even say, because when he was around, I would have hardly described myself as a Hideo mark by any means, but he's so good at what he does, and I know probably how bad he's wanted to be back on NXT TV, being out for a full year, and then just recently doing the live events. It's great seeing him back in his element, and what a return for Hideo Itami.
Yeah, to me, like, just as another sort of analogy for people that really like these kinds of things, Hideo Itami is the Nirvana to Shinsuke Nakamura's Metallic.
There you go.
When Nakamura has this rock star presence, and he's big, and he's larger than life, and he's loud, and people are gravitated towards him, and he is going to be incredibly popular. Hideo Itami, it sort of feels more grassroots.
Yes.
It kind of has like a more of an artistry to it with Hideo and Nakamura, even though, don't get me wrong, all wrestlers are artists, so I'm not trying to take that away from anyone, but all rock bands I consider to be artists as well, and Metallica is a little bit more processed, a little bit more kind of toned down for the casual listener. And then Nirvana, even though they did eventually kind of get there, Nirvana was more grungy. They were more sort of, let's really express ourselves rather than pandering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, to me, that's the difference between Nakamura and Itami. And don't get me wrong, Nakamura is still, in my eyes, probably the best performer in the world right now. I'm not trying to water anyone down. I'm just trying to describe why they're both great in different ways. I personally have never been a big fan of Metallica or Nirvana, but I thought that those were appropriate bands to use to describe what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Maybe it's the car wreck talk.
Maybe, brother. But look, we're here. It's high energy. We're having a good time. Do you have anything else you want to say about Hideo's return?
I loved it, man. I loved the little GTS tease with the little kickback and like kicking the dirt on your opponent.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's using the Busaiku knee kick as his finisher. Instead of the old, because I know at one point he was using the coup de grace, the double stop off the top, and I kind of thought he was going to go for that at one point in this match, but I'm glad he didn't. I love the setup for the Busaiku knee kick, the big delayed drop kick. It looks great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and that's another Shibata thing. Yeah. So yeah, I thought Hideo was great tonight. To me, probably the highlight of the night. And if I was going to have a nitpick, it would be that they chose to have Itami's return be first. Because if it would have been Balor or Sammy, I feel like it would have been...
I agree. In fact, you know what? For as high as I was and am on this show, I could totally agree with you on that. But the fact that it got video packages for like a good, 2 weeks, maybe even a little bit more than that, this should have main evented. And he should have cut like a promo to close the show just like Sammy did. But what are you going to do? Hopefully they do something really productive with Hideo, with Back to Brooklyn around the corner. We're talking like 16 days now it's going to be here. So with that said, let's move on. Our next segment, we have the Revival backstage. And they're usually cutting, they're just usual shtick. Oh, we're the best tag team. We talk heavy. We hit hard. Scott.
It's scientifically proven that we are the best.
I fucking love Scott Dawson, man. Like, I love the Revival as a whole, but Scott Dawson just gets me, man. Like, what an idiot. But
he's really good.
But then TM61 interrupted and said they came here to be the best, so why don't the Revival challenge themselves and face them in a match tonight? And the Revival are like, hey, you guys getting ahead of yourselves. Why don't you take a ticket and go in the back of the line? And then I gotta give this guy credit here, because I don't think I will for the rest of the night, save for the main event segment, which we'll get to. Johnny Gargano was on point tonight. Like, him and Ciampa both, obviously, because they work so well, but Gargano, man, I never knew he was this charismatic. Because he's like, ding, 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 simulating a bell. Oh, we've got this ticket with the number 1 on it. I guess we're, in line to get an NXT Tag Team Championship match, right? Because, you haven't beaten us, and we beat you, remember? So you're going to give us a shot, right? And then Ciampa comes in like, oh, of course. They're the Revival. They're the best tag team in NXT. They wouldn't be scared, right? And then they make a big fuss among themselves to rattle the Revival. And they're like, hey, we get it. We hear you. But we already promised these guys, just trying to TM61, a match. So why don't you work it out amongst yourselves? And then I love, because the Revival leave. They excuse themselves. And then Gargano and Ciampa and TM61, TM61's like, you get in the back of the line. No, you get in the back of the line. There is no real line. And these numbers aren't even real. That bell isn't even real. Let me keep the bell. I like it. So they're like making this big comedic stink, and it's hilarious. This really put a big smile on my face. What did you think of it?
Yeah. I think this was a really great segment to show people like you that might not have known how charismatic Johnny Wrestling can be, that he does have that.
Oh, definitely. I was grateful for this segment because I think it made me walk away with fresh eyes in regards to Johnny Wrestling. And I want to apologize to him personally. And Johnny Scumbag rarely apologizes, but I definitely think I committed an underestimation of his ability. So, apologies. And then this was great, and I love how they're building Gargano and Ciampa. Their night wasn't even over, but we'll get to that later. And anything else you want to say about this?
Not really. I think that TM61 being inserted into this picture was really interesting. I love Dawson and Wilder on the mic, and I'm glad that Gargano and Ciampa are getting opportunities on the mic. That's cool.
Definitely. I love that. That is one thing about NXT that I will always commend them for. Guys that you never really associated with talking or being able to work a mic, like, they put them under that pressure. They get better in that area. And I don't know how much improvement Gargano even needed to make to begin with, but I'm glad that he got to show off his chops tonight in a major way. And again, we only scratched the surface. We'll get to that later. But I'll tell you what, partner, because I was really wound up about that segment, and I loved it, and I was smiling, I was laughing. I was also smiling and laughing with this next thing, but I want you to chow down on this first, because I'm sure we both mutually enjoyed it. Mojo Rawley versus a man whose name I honestly didn't catch, so I titled him his local competitor. But it doesn't matter, because we didn't really get a match now, did we?
Well, it does matter because his name is Chris Atkins, and it's worth noting that the dude was like 260 pounds. Like,
yeah, see, Tim,
he was almost as big as Mojo, but he didn't look quite so much like someone I'd like to punch in the face.
See, now this is where Johnny Scumbag comes back after making an apology to Gargano only a few seconds earlier. His name isn't Chris Atkins, it's bitchbag number 2, because what happened, his name doesn't even matter anymore. It's irrelevant. And I don't even have to do the Roman Reigns voice. It is quite literally irrelevant. So, what happened here, partner? I'm going to let you take this one.
Well, Chris Atkins being in the ring, Mojo Rawley is about to get in the ring, and they have the beginning of their match. I think they might have tied up, but who cares? Atkins off the ropes. Mojo Rawley with a pouch. Period. And then, as he's going for the pin, the ref counts to almost 3, but then Samoa Joe attacks, clears the ring, and starts cutting a freaking great promo.
Yeah, if I gather correctly, he more or less said, if you're not going to consult me about, when I'm defending my championship and who I'm defending it against, I don't have to consult you when I beat people up and I mess up your show, more or less.
And he also said he was going to massacre Nakamura at Brooklyn.
I fucking love Joe, man. Like, oh my god.
I love
so
Nakamura. Good. I don't love Nakamura. I love Nakamura. He's easily my favorite performer in the entire WWE right now.
Right.
But, and there's always going to be a but to those whenever I start building someone up like that, but I really want Joe to retain his title at Brooklyn.
Dude,
it really is the best of both worlds, because Joe retaining makes Joe look like a killer, and it also frees up Nakamura to get called up to the main roster where he belongs.
Exactly. I agree with you on all counts, but the fun hasn't even ended, my friend. Because
Mojo Rawley must have drank some liquid courage out backstage or something, because he decides, you know what? I'm getting drafted soon. Might as well take my anger out on Samoa Joe that I'm going to be leaving this paradise that's been keeping me employed, and they're going to expose my weaknesses on the main roster.
I gotta say, man, Joe whooped that ass, and seeing him choke out Mojo Rawley...
It was a moment of bliss, wasn't it?
I mean, I know my Scum Squad loved it because they were all tweeting me about it, and all I'm thinking is I hope those refs that helped him to the back greased his palm with 50 cents so he could put it in the nearest payphone, call his mother, and apologize for ever being delusional enough to think that he could be a pro wrestler in the first place. You're fucking pathetic, sir, and quite honestly, seeing you get choked out, that was even too good for you. Now lay there and die, you piece of crap.
Wow.
Oh my god, that was glorious.
Scumbag indeed. I mean, not even I would have been that visceral towards Mojo Rawley.
I was, don't worry.
Visceral enough for the two of us.
Oh my god, Joe just owned it though. Oh my god, what a great NXT champion.
And I love too that time he was choking about, he was yelling, "I'm the champ!"
And he is. I ain't gonna question it. It's empirical fact. He carries the NXT championship, and he's the NXT champion. So
proven, according to Dawson.
There you go. Yeah, quantum physicist Scott Dawson agrees. Samoa Joe's NXT champion.
Everything that you observe, you change. And by observing Samoa Joe with the world title, I have officially made Samoa Joe world champion.
And I've got to thank Samoa Joe, too, because I think he really revealed the depth of my mental problems. Because I think after the DUN I had, seeing somebody else get abused to the extent that Mojo Rawley did made me far happier than it should have. So I think that says a lot about me. But thankfully, this podcast isn't about me. It's about NXT, and she did quality work here. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. So after Joe does his thing and Mojo Rawley tries, which is his first mistake, Samoa Joe does his thing to Mojo Rawley. We move on to an interview with Bayley from the new correspondent Charly Caruso. And Bayley is just talking about how, she's been watching Asuka. She thinks she's ready for her and she's ready to take back her championship. And then Asuka shows up. And in what might be the single most, and I'm sorry, Sasha, but I have to say it, boss moment in probably the entire history of pro wrestling. Asuka simply says to Bayley, "You think you're ready? Come watch."
I loved it. This is how Asuka should always talk. And I think NXT's starting to get that now. This was so good. And what followed, in my mind, was even better from both women. Great. Bayley readily admitted she needs to adapt mentally. And like you said, she thought she was ready in a minute. And then Asuka comes back, pretty much the Dean Ambrose equivalent of "No, you're not." Like, shut that shit down. Babyfaces can't do anything anymore, apparently. And Asuka is herself a babyface, or I'm starting to kind of question that a little bit after tonight. But, for all intents and purposes, she is. But Bayley just got shut down. I love this, man. This was so good.
Yeah, absolutely. This was just... If you're ready to fight someone and you say you're ready, and you might even think you're ready, and they come up and they're just like, "Oh, that's cute. Come watch. Come see how ready you really are."
Right.
I mean, right then and there, you might as well just give up on life.
I know somebody who probably did, but we'll get to that in a second.
That's actually up next, because up next we had Bayley come out to commentary so she can watch the next match up close. And then we got our third match of the night, Aliyah versus Asuka.
You know, I gotta say, seeing Aliyah on Breaking Ground, I really loved seeing this happen to her. Like, I love this. I loved all of it. And even before Aliyah got her comeuppance, you know, being reminded of her place in the pecking order, Asuka went out, she grabbed a chair, she set it up on the ramp, and she invited Bayley to come sit even closer than commentary, which, again, a boss moment on top of a boss moment. This is the Asuka NXT Women's Champion that I have been waiting to see. Like, this one episode to me, and I'm sorry to all Asuka fans, particularly you, Anthony, our boy, shout out to him.
My boy.
I've enjoyed... I enjoy Asuka. I haven't soured on her by any means, but this is the shit I've been looking for, dude. Like, this one night of her title reign, I think, was more compelling than anything else she's done since being champion. Just my opinion, but it's honestly what it is. And Bayley, and I credit her for this too, showing great babyface fire, is like, I'm not going to kowtow to you. I'm not going to sit in this fucking chair. I'm going to toss it, symbolic of tossing you around when I get my rightful rematch, and I'm going to stand and I'm going to watch. And I'm so glad she did. Because what we got was an absolute massacre. I mean, brother, what did you think of this, man?
I gotta say, man, the fact that, first of all, Bayley, you know, kind of tried to match Asuka's level of badass by being like, no, I don't want to sit in the chair. You set up the chair. I'm not sitting in a chair that you set up. That's gross. And tossing it aside. Like, that was cute, but that's what it was. It was cute. It wasn't cool. It wasn't badass. It was cute. It was like, oh, Bayley's trying to be an adult now. Am I wrong?
I personally thought it was kind of badass. I like that she wasn't just going to kowtow to Asuka and her whims, and she asserted herself.
Maybe we just have different views there, because I thought it was like an adorable, like, oh, kind of thing. But,
do you think... No, but before you move on, I don't want to cut you off. No, but do you think that's partially because of just the kind of character that they've really built for Bayley, that you really can't detach from that? And you just kind of think, like, oh, you know, she is kind of this cutesy performer that's all, like, purely good and all this stuff, that, like, everything is going to be viewed through a prism of cuteness, or what?
Man, you know, I gotta say, maybe that's what it is. If it is that, though, you almost have to put at least some of the blame on her for just constantly kind of portraying this character that's like this sort of pure, innocent token of purity, you know? Like, I feel like Bayley and only Bayley can give an edge to the Bayley character, and she's not doing it right now.
I can see what you're saying. I can definitely see what you're saying there. But then we get this match, Asuka versus Aliyah. And like I said, you know, seeing Aliyah on Breaking Ground, I didn't really care for her. I was kind of happy to see all this go down. What did you think of the match, partner?
As far as the match itself goes, I didn't even really think about the match, to be honest. Asuka just kind of toyed with her. There was a lot of gesturing and Asuka kind of pointing at Bayley and being like, this is for you, and that kind of stuff. Honestly, right. I will say, Asuka felt kind of heelish here, didn't she?
I put the exact same thing in my notes. I said Asuka was very aggressive and almost heelish.
Yeah.
I mean, the most heelish moment to me that almost seemed pretty blatant. Aliyah tries going off the top rope. She gets met with a kick by Asuka. That would have ended the match right there. Ref initiates the pin. 1, 2. Asuka breaks it up. And it's like, no, I'm not done. Locks in the Asuka lock. Aliyah, of course, taps out. But Asuka doesn't break it right away. She keeps it on for a prolonged period of time while she's looking at Bayley. Like, that to me was Asuka definitely exhibiting heelish tendencies. And, I mean, I can dig it. I think it's better if you're going to have Bayley go in there with somebody that is more aggressive, more villainous. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I could get a high nail Asuka. What did you think?
Something that I've been hoping for a long
time. Nice.
And it's not necessarily that, oh, Asuka's better as a heel or anything like that. It's more just that I feel like champions are always more interesting when they're heels. Whether they win it as heels or whether they win it as faces and eventually turn heel, that to me is where the money is. And I know you agree too, because anytime there's any kind of a tournament to crown a new champion, you're always saying the first one needs to be a heel, even though you're rarely.
I know, and thanks for that little added bit at the end, dick. But
I had to get the little tiny, just a little pot shot in just to keep things even.
Well, that's fair enough. But yeah, man. I mean, I definitely like this side of Asuka. Bayley clearly didn't. She's like, what are you doing? And she checks on Aliyah. Asuka poses right in front of Bayley, like, toying with her, putting the NXT Women's Championship in her face. And I loved it. Great energy in the segment. Actually really made me excited for their rematch. I think they've stayed far away from each other, and they've told a good enough story that I actually think the rematch will far exceed their original bout. But that's just me. And
yeah. And especially if Asuka works, he at the very least works as sort of that like Tanahashi bully style.
Exactly. Anything else you want to say about this?
No, I think Bayley. I think that this is kind of where we're going to find out just how good of a performer Bayley is, because if she can kind of pull a Sami Zayn and kind of sort of like milquetoast or bread, white bread babyface to a babyface like what Sami Zayn did in his feud with Neville, that I think would be great. But again, the question has to be, is that something that Bayley is capable of?
Right. I really am curious. Yeah.
I'd like to see it. I really
I'm
would.
curious about, yeah.
But I don't know if it's something that Bayley has in her, and it's something that we're going to find out over the course of the next 3 weeks.
Oh, certainly. And like I've always been curious myself about Bayley's depth when it comes to, being a character evolution and all that stuff. And we may learn a little bit about Bayley in the next few weeks. But with that said, let's move on. Our next segment was an Oney Lorcan recap. We go back to last month when he beat Ty Dillinger. I was kind of actually hoping this would be a Ty Dillinger update personally, but it's Oney Lorcan, and I too. Then it also cuts to an interview he got last month, which, why aren't you showing him more in real time if you're so concerned about promoting him? But he more or less says, look, the competition in NXT, some of the best out there, and it's only going to get better. So if I want to hang with the best and be the best myself, I've got to go back to my roots. Nothing too spectacular about this promo. Oney Lorcan was very direct, and, I liked it, and I'm curious to see more from him.
Yeah, definitely. I think this might have been the first time I've ever heard him cut a promo, and I've known about him for...
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same exact way, dude. And, yeah, I liked what he did. Again, nothing extraordinary or anything, but it was passable. And here's something that he gets more fire and more personality, when he has a microphone handed in front of a crowd. That remains to be seen. So.
Yeah, man. I can't hate on him. I mean, this wasn't spectacular by any means, but it wasn't cringeworthy or anything like that either. This was just the road promo from a guy that you can tell has not really cut that many promos.
Right.
It wasn't great, it wasn't good, it wasn't exceptional, it wasn't awful either. I would say it was kind of right down the middle, a little bit below average.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. Right on, I think it's perfect. With that said, let's move on. Oh my God, it happened. All right, guys, I'm just going to cut to the chase. The vignette that we got last week and we didn't touch on because we didn't know if it was a weird commercial for something or what, and we know you guys were asking about it, but we didn't know about it. We said we weren't going to touch on it. Happened again tonight. It was indeed Ember Moon. Literally all my notes say, all I remember about the vignette itself in terms of, the narration and everything was the stars have aligned perfectly and something about, a warrior. But really all my notes say are, oh my God, it's fucking happening. That's my notes for you. I am waiting for this ever, and you know something? Fuck my notes. Sorry I didn't get anything specific. I was too busy marking the fuck out. And I want to thank my friends and the Scum Squad and all that. You guys immediately thought of me when you saw that. You know how long I've been asking for it up here. We're finally getting her. And not only are we getting Ember Moon, it's at a fucking takeover. I love that.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
So she's totally debuting and defeating probably even Aliyah in her first
Aliyah, maybe Peyton Royce, I don't know.
No, she can't. No, she's not allowed to beat one of the Aussie girls because they are actually getting...
Well, we know Billie Kay is. We don't know if Peyton Royce is. So...
But if Billie Kay gets one, Peyton Royce should get one.
Well, I mean, that's how your mind works.
John, I need you to just support me.
You know what? Given everything today, all right, we'll leave Peyton Royce alone. Aliyah's a human punching bag anyway. She'll work. I am just so.
And the only other, you know what? The funny thing too is, I know that a few tapings ago, I think maybe for the tapings that showed in June, I think Ember Moon actually did debut at the tapings. They must have just cut her debut out to build it up more, because her debut happened and it was against Mandy Rose from
Oh, wow. Dude, I just want to explain something to everybody. I don't know how long most of our commenters have been watching the show. I know a lot of you are longtime viewers, and we thank you for that, and we love you for that. Some of you are newcomers.
Honestly, dude, I think a good 80% of our audience joined us because of...
Right. And to those people, thank you for coming, and we hope you're comfortable, and we hope you're having a good time, because I'm having a good time right now. But just to explain to everybody, usually the dynamic between myself and my cohort and commentary here, he's the researcher. He's the really intelligent guy between the two of us. He'll put everything together. I cared about this woman so much, I went out of my way, and it wasn't a ton of matches, but I can tell you I watched 5 matches of Ember Moon. Would have been 6, but the 6th one I couldn't get into. It was awful for many reasons, but 5 matches of her to really get a feel.
So what was the 6th match?
The 6th match, it was her against the Huntress, and I forget her name, wasn't even Elise. It was somebody else that goes by the name of the Huntress. And why it was so bad, I wanted to be jazzed about it because it was a TLC match. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. 2 women and it's TLC. All the spots, if somebody was going through a ladder, you could see production people setting up ladders. You could see production people setting up, and that took me out of it. I could not watch it knowing that everybody was choreographing everything. I just couldn't get sucked in. You know what I mean? So I couldn't finish that match. Yeah. But I watched 5 matches. One was even against Kimberly, who I'm also a huge fan of. I know she's doing great things in Chikara, and I'm sure elsewhere. Maybe one day we'll see her in NXT. Love Kimberly. But yeah, I actually went out of my way to watch Ember Moon matches. That's how stoked I am on this woman. And to know that she's debuting at a TakeOver, I cannot tell you what a fucking relief that is to me, because I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know if she was going to be one of the girls where you debut her and she loses or what, but the idea that she's debuting at a TakeOver, I'm really hoping, and I've even tweeted this to her myself, I'm really hoping she gets in the ring with Asuka, because I believe she can beat her for that NXT Women's Championship. So I'm really hoping, guys. I haven't been this stoked on a woman since Emma. This is huge. And wow. I can't wait for TakeOver. Honestly, and I'm going to say this right now, with American Alpha out of the picture and everything else, Ember Moon is what I'm most looking forward to about Back to Brooklyn. Sorry, but it's really just the way it is. Her debut is what I'm most hyped for. Absolutely. Not even close.
Damn.
I'm feeling it, dude.
You are committed.
Oh, dude, it is fierce right now, this fandom. I'm so happy for her.
Got your fangs in your
yeah. Early. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, that Ember Moon's going to be a Crimson Moon real fast. She's going to beat everybody up. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of what the vignette showed, was the moon kind of being overtaken by an orange.
And you're so right, dude. See, this is why this guy is here. Because, I can never pull off that shit. I'm too busy, losing my goddamn mind. But you're right. Huge moon and everything. Honestly, given the promo last week, I take the blame. I should have put the pieces together on that earlier. And in fact, some people even did. They're like, John, I think these are Ember Moon vignettes. And I'm like, they're not going to give her that treatment. They've already tortured me enough. Why would they actually start treating me good now? But they did. They did, and it's amazing.
I'm so glad that you're this excited about it.
I know, right? Oh, man, it's wonderful.
I feel like the way you feel right now is going to be the way that I feel when Emma returns.
I know. Oh, my God, women are kicking ass right now. They all need to be here. Emma needs to be back. Ember Moon needs to be called up immediately after beating Asuka and revealing to her that she's the best. Yeah, that's right, Anthony. Calling you out. Calling you and Asuka out. Ember Moon gonna whoop that ass. And yeah, she needs to.
Would you ever call Asuka out IRL, though?
I'll do it. I'll do it on Twitter. I will tweet her when the show is over that Ember Moon's gonna beat her for that NXT Women's Championship. I'll do it. Don't test me. I will.
And how many weeks in a row did you say that you would tweet Evilise telling her how superior?
But I did end up doing that, though. I ended up doing that multiple times.
After weeks of building.
Yeah, but I did it, though. How many people say something but then never do? Are you tisking at me, you motherfucker? Are you tisking at me right now?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, I was really getting ready to verbally assault you.
No. This is what me tisking sounds like.
I was hearing something back there, but I'll absolve you this time.
It was I'm playing with the tweezers. I'm hitting it up against my wooden desk.
That's an interesting tick you've got there. But yeah, as soon as.
I'm telling you, man, I've got undiagnosed ADD, or probably also ADD.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, I'm working with an anxiety disorder and some kind of problem like that.
It's kind of funny, too, because when I was in the 5th grade, my 5th grade teacher actually asked my mom directly, have him looked at by somebody that can diagnose him. I think he has ADD or ADHD. And she took me to my family doctor, I think it was like pediatrician kind of thing, and he didn't even consider it. He immediately no, he's not. No, that's crazy. And now in hindsight, yeah, as much of a bitch as that teacher was, she was probably...
Damn. But yeah, man, like I'm just stoked in all seriousness for her. I'm so glad she's getting this spot, because I really do. I don't want to commit hyperbole, even though I think that train's already passed, to be fair. But I really do think she's going to be one of the pillars of, like, this new women's division in the absence of the 4 horsewomen save Bayley. Like, I think she's going to be one of those women. I really, really do. And I hope for once in my miserable life I'm right about something. So, here's to hoping.
So, have you ever seen an Ember Moon, a.k.a. Athena?
I think one, and admittedly, she's not spectacular. I mean, maybe I need to watch more work, to be fair.
So really, your entire hope is just resting on that amazing finisher.
The amazing finisher. I think she has a great look. Like, I will say the best thing about that TLC match, honestly, was her entrance. And it's funny because I even said to her, I tweeted at her, you need to have something like what you wore in that TLC match, that whole entrance, for your first takeover. And lo and behold, her debut is going to be her first takeover. Like, unbelievable, man. I don't even know. I'm just excited for her. I hope it works out. But I have prattled on way too long about Ember Moon, but for good reason. I have waited long enough for this, and I'm one half of the show, and I will do what I want. But that's that. I can let sleeping dogs lie. We can move on.
I don't understand why you feel the need to rant when you're like, it's like you're implying that I censor you. I don't censor you ever, unless it's like me just suggesting that you don't do something when you're like laughing at my misfortune.
Everything is a suggestion to me, even the law. But anyway, no, I know you never censor me, but I know.
Watch out, everyone. We got a Billy Badass over
Damn right. But
Ron Simmons. Damn.
But yeah, I know you never censor me, and I appreciate that. But I know the forces that have conspired against me that kept Ember Moon away from my television all this time. Yeah, I know you.
I know, and that's the crazy thing, is she actually did have a television debut taped at one of the tapings, and they just cut it.
C-O-N-spiracy. But that's all I gotta say about that. I talked so long about this. Do you even have anything left to say about this that you wanted to add?
No, but up next is another segment that I know you love, because it was...
No, you go first on this one. I've been enough of a time hog as it is, so you tell me what you feel about Bobby Roode here.
Well, first and foremost, because this is kind of my thing at this point, his NXT theme song is exceptional.
Yes! I'm so glad we agree on that, because I freaking loved it. That's like, I'm not even gonna lie to you.
He's glorious, and he'll keep fighting until he's victorious. So good. Yeah, it's probably probably the best NXT theme song since Nakamura.
Dude, this is like my fantasy Johnny Scumbag theme. Like,
it really is. It really, really, really. And you say theme, but this is totally like the freaking Stokely Hathaway gimmick. Like, he's this rich dude who's coming in, and he's gonna get NXT bought out by investors and replace the crowd with business
dude,
people.
I cannot tell you, and maybe it's my own fault because, again, I don't associate with carcinogens, so I never watched TNA all that much, but I missed...
Oh, damn, I've had way too much exposure to that. I'm probably going to...
Yeah, probably. I'm just so glad it's not contagious, which means I'm safe, which really, in the grand scheme of things, is the central importance here. But, see, like,
of course.
That's just my point. That shit that I just said to you, and I actually like you, but, like, Robert Roode is my spirit.
Imagine if you got to cut a promo on Full Sail.
Dude, and Robert Roode did it for me. I don't know if he's going to be in my top 5, because let's be honest here, guys, and this is just me being honest. I've always thought the world of Robert Roode. I honestly feel like and this is on him, and I don't say that trying to denigrate him, he should have left that hot garbage known as TNA forever ago and tried to get into the WWE. Yeah. Because he's 38 now, and I don't know how much we're going to get out of him, but I will say this.
Dude, AJ Styles is 30.
That is true. I think it all depends on conditioning and how I mean, we'll see. We'll see, but I really do wish he would have come in sooner. That said, oh my God, did I miss heel Bobby Roode? Look, I'm going to make a confession that's going to make me a piece of shit. I mean, most of you don't even already have that view of me already. When he used to run with Miss Brooks, and he used to just be like, I own you, shut your mouth. No, like, I loved it. I love what an honest piece of shit this man is. And I forgot how well he comes by it. Because he comes out... Actually, no, I already said you're going to talk about this. So what did you think about this? Because yeah.
First of all, to me, the masterful thing here was that he turned an ass-kissing promo into a screw all you people, we're replacing you with business people promo.
Yes, he did. Oh, God.
So, John, with as excited you are here, it's almost like, are you more excited for this or Ember Moon?
Ember Moon, really, because I already know what Bobby Roode did. Definitively, yes. But... And again, like, do you have anything you want to say about it? Because I really don't want to feel like I'm taking up all the time here. I do want to hear your thoughts.
Dude, here's the thing. I've never been that much of a fan of Bobby Roode. I think he is the most sort of average across the board. And I shouldn't even say average. He's above average. He is the, like, model of consistency, but at the same time, his incredible consistency kind of bores me. I've always seen him as sort of a B-rate Triple H, and that's exactly what he did here. He was Triple H from, like, 2004 with short hair, with Triple H from 2016's haircut, you know?
No.
Like, I can't say, and don't get me wrong, this was great. So are Triple H promos. This was really good. This got him so much heat that people hated him after this. So does Triple H promos. So this really is... I feel like Triple H living vicariously through Bobby Roode, even though he's like 6 years younger than him.
Oh, dude, like, I can understand where you're coming from. And obviously, I'm not going to come down hard on you for a different point of view, even though you're wrong. But no, I'm just kidding. But,
oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I was hoping that you would say that. That's not
But I freaking love this, man. I love that he can tell all of these losers in the audience exactly what they are.
That's the thing, too. Anytime you cut a promo on Full Sail, you're doing a good thing and you're making a mistake at the same time. You're doing a great thing because they deserve to have promos cut on them. They deserve to be torn to shreds, and they do everything in their power to ruin some shows. That said, though, most people outside of Sale agree with that. So Bobby Roode is now a babyface everywhere but Full Sail.
I mean, oh, God, I don't even know where to be. I wanted to cry. Just tears of joy. Like, just him. I mean, because Full Sail, you need to understand something. Your inflated sense of self-importance, you're worthless. Nobody cares about you. In fact, the first thing that I hope happens when the arena's being shuffled in by presidents, CEOs, vice presidents, because Bobby Roode at least treats them with a modicum of decency, I hope the camera pans to Izzy and her family leaving the arena while she bawls her eyes out. Like, I fucking hate you people. I can't even begin. And now Bobby Roode just coming out and being like, you're all idiots in your t-shirts and your and he's so right. Like, you think you're clever because you do a rendition of a song with Bayley's name in it? Get the fuck out of here. Nobody cares about you. You know what people do care about? Bobby Mark, first of all, you're not even wrong. Second of all, Bobby motherfucking
Just
Roode.
imagine Mark Cuban walking into the arena as what's her name is walking out.
Dude, you gotta understand, I'm actually a Shark Tank fan. I haven't watched the show in months.
I know.
And
I know. That's the main reason I bring Mark Cuban up as like the token rich guy, because
Mark Cuban, let me just put this in context as a Shark Tank viewer to all of you guys. Mark Cuban is such a pompous windbag, but I love how he puts the pour on a shot clock. Like, because he would tell people, oh, you've got 10 seconds to accept my deal or I'm out. And he knows they're poor. Like, he knows that they're in massive debt and they need it, but he still toys with them anyway. That is a level of perverse and sick and disgusting that I could only hope to aspire to. And Bobby...
You know what's sad is you just said her name and I already forget the Bayley fan that
Izzy.
we're talking about. Izzy. I want to call her Zoe for some reason. Anyway, I just imagine her walking out of the arena as Mark Cuban enters the
Yes!
and the look on her father's face as he walks by Mark Cuban of the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh my God.
I think that my words just gave you an orgasm.
I think I actually have a boner, you know? I'm gonna be honest. Like, this promo took me places, and reliving it is taking me to those places all over again. I make no bones about telling all. I can only imagine what Cliff 'em all and guys that really love when I'm this much of an asshole are gonna say when they hear this. But, I really hope Bobby Roode's dream comes true, and he kicks all of those miscreants and all of those lower level and inferior beings out of the building. I mean, because as far as I'm concerned, they're just vagrant.
Mark Cuban just walking past Izzy like, oh, sorry, kid, should have been born rich.
And you know what? She should have been. It's all her fault. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at these people in the Full Sail Arena. You're nothing but glorified squatters. And,
hey, kid, sorry your dad isn't worth it.
yeah, exactly. Like, I hope that when that dad, like, he just takes a double take and he says, excuse me, do I know you? And Mark Cuban's like, yeah, I'm that guy you wish you were. And he just keeps walking. Because that's the message Bobby Roode's delivering all to you.
Yeah, you might know me. I've been on TV. I own the Dallas Mavericks. I've literally made more money talking to you right now than you're ever going to see.
Yes. These people need to be denigrated. They need just not have any sense of self-worth. And I trust Bobby Roode. I believe in Bobby Roode to make these people feel like absolute shit, much to my enjoyment. Fuck you, Full Sail. Bobby Roode is gonna make it absolutely, wait for it, glorious. Yes! Oh my God, that felt so good. Oh my God, my inner scumbag feels so free. I want to bully someone.
John, I think you need a cigarette.
I think I just achieved my final form. I need to bully something. What are you feeling self-conscious about? Actually, no, I don't want to take it out on you. James, I know you're hearing this. You're a second-class citizen. You're inferior, and you wouldn't even deserve to wash my jockstrap, you piece of shit. Come at me. Come at me. Yeah! I'm alive! I'm alive! Oh my God, I have snapped given the events of today. I'd apologize, but I was taught not to lie. Like Bobby Roode, who has integrity. Next NXT champion. Fuck Hideo Itami. Could have stayed on the shelf another year. I wouldn't have known the difference. Bobby Roode, baby. Bobby Roode.
Okay.
That was the second most thrilling experience I've ever had in my life.
Okay, what was
being published, baby? Because like Bobby Roode, I'm successful. Yes. I'm good now. So a good segment for you too, huh?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, good stuff. All right, let's.
He's better. I'll already say he's better here.
Oh, dude. Yes. Yes, and you know what? I want to thank you, and I'm being serious right now. I want to thank you for at least saying that. I know you're not the highest on Bobby Roode, but thank you for saying. Although I will say this, and this is something I wanted to point out. Was it just me, and maybe it was, did he seem uncomfortable at all to you in parts of this promo? Because towards it did seem a bit out of place, just a little bit.
No.
You didn't think so? Do you think it was maybe just dramatic pauses or something? Because...
Oh my God, yeah. He had so many dramatic pauses.
Okay, then that's just me then. That's on me because, yeah,
Maybe you need to go back. Well, I assume you're going to go back and rewatch this promo anyway. But maybe when you do, you need to pay attention to how incredibly deliberate he's being.
You know what, dude? I have to go back and watch it because after that whole thing that we just did, I feel like
that you just did.
that I just did. I feel like Randy from South Park when they went to California for the internet and he had to ward off the ghost. Thumbs up to anybody who gets that reference. Oh man,
it's a meme. I would hope most.
Yeah.
So we find out, and you're okay with.
Oh, of course, right? Of course.
Yeah, we find out that Bayley and Asuka are having a contract signing next week, so that's cool. And then we get right into our fourth match of the night, TM61 versus the Revival.
What did you think about this match, man?
It was solid, a little bit shorter than I had expected, which probably tells you that these guys, this is not going to be the last time these teams.
Right.
But to me, really, the highlight of this whole thing was post-match.
Oh, yeah. Like, I gotta say about the match, it was fine, but really, how can I put this? I really liked the Revival here. In fact, I was more impressed by the Revival as per usual than TM61.
I gotta say, though, one thing I'll add, Shane Thorne continues to impress. He hit a moonsault in this match, which is just a part of their sort of signature offense that they do, but also he mislanded. I think he was like one of the guys in the Revival was trying to hit him with some kind of offensive maneuver. He landed on his feet, but he landed awkwardly and off balance, and yet despite having landed awkwardly and off balance, he still managed to throw 3 consecutive beautiful drop kicks.
Yes, and you know what I like from Shane Thorne, just to keep piling on the praise? His selling was great because the Revival implemented great tag team psychology, picking apart Shane Thorne's arm, and he really did sell it, and he made it seem like a legitimate struggle. Nick Miller, his hot tag was fine. He even got a double-A spinebuster that I liked, but ultimately the Revival were too much for him. And Scott Dawson actually hit Nick Miller with a DDT for the win. That was kind of a sudden finish for me. I would have preferred the Shatter Machine, but
you know, I imagine Stone Cold Steve Austin is somewhere, and he's really, really happy, and he's not quite
right
because somebody just won him at
right, yeah.
Austin has been complaining about people kicking out of DDTs for so long now, and like, just something just shifted in the universe, and he felt it, and it made.
You know what? You're probably right, my friend, but you seem pretty stoked, as was I, to be fair. But you seem pretty stoked about the post match, so you take it away, partner. What happened here?
Yeah. So the Revival cut a promo talking about, we talk heavy, we hit hard. This is the big leagues, and we are the big leagues, and we're the top guys. And then they start running down all the teams that they've beat: American Alpha, the Vaudevillains, Enzo and Cass. And then Gargano and Ciampa's music hits, and they start coming out, and they start picking up the teams that the Revival had been laying down. And they start with American Alpha. It's like, yeah, that's definitely impressive. The Hollywood Blondes, wow, that's impressive. And then they picked up Kermit and Miss Piggy, and then Pikachu and Charmander, and that got the biggest the crowd probably all night.
Yeah, this is actually a Pokemon Go reference that didn't make me groan. I really liked it. And
not only just reference it, but they actually worked it into their promo, because then I believe Gargano was like, did you collect them all? And then he was like, the only thing we're interested in collecting right now are the NXT tag team.
I love that, dude. That was so next level to me. Because it's one thing...
Yeah. That was some
yeah, I would agree, because you know what, dude? It's one thing to make a pop culture reference, and I think why they make me groan, and I think Gargano and Ciampa showed me why they make me groan, is because they don't work it in to a deeper context, whereas these guys did. Oh, did you collect them all? No, because I've only been concerned about collecting the NXT Tag Team Championship. Boom! We're right back in it. Whereas I feel like when most pop culture references are made, there's a disjointed feeling there because, this is a wrestling product, but you associate with pop culture, and I'm seeing like all these things going on at once. But Gargano and Ciampa, it's seamless with them. And like, I gotta tell you guys, I always liked Ciampa because me and you both, Ashton, we've seen the Sicilian Psycho promos, and we've seen his work on ROH and elsewhere. Johnny Gargano, I have about the same experience with, but I always he flew under my radar. But both of these guys, man, am I looking at them both with fresh eyes tonight. Like, great on them. This was really a great night for them. And honestly, this is the kind of night, and the way that the brawl, and that's another thing too, the brawl was so well done because they end up doing their double team finisher on Dash Wilder. Gargano hooks the leg. Ciampa simulates a ref count. The crowd counts with him, so you got the atmosphere. It's a 3 count. They pose with the titles, and the tag team division is fucking fire right now in NXT, knowing that Gargano and Ciampa are stepping up into that championship role. This is great.
Yeah. We've lost American Alpha, but in doing so, we've gained credibility on 2 teams here in Gargano and Ciampa and TM61 that are going to really help the tag division out to make up for the loss of American.
And let me tell you something, as a very big American Alpha fan in my own right, I think Gargano and Ciampa are going to fill that hole just fine. Like, I don't even really think going...
I know this is going to be a mind blower for some people, mostly for people who only watch WWE products, even if that does include NXT, but Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are leaps and bounds better at professional wrestling than Chad Gable and Jason Jordan.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Gable and Jason Jordan are both very entertaining, and I don't want to try and take anything away from them, but they're also both very green. And especially Gable, I mean, don't get me wrong, he does really cool moves and he does great arm drags and stuff like that. He's very fun in the ring, but he's still green. And transitioning from the Olympics to pro wrestling is obviously easier than just transitioning from amateur wrestling to pro wrestling because it took Jordan a hell of a lot longer to catch on than Gable. But regardless, these guys still have edges to smooth out, whereas Gargano and Ciampa are finished products in the ring who really just need to work on character. And I think tonight we saw...
Absolutely.
So I think these guys are closer to being a finished product right now than American Alpha, which obviously WWE agrees with me because they call American Alpha up first, but after a few months of seeing American Alpha do the exact same spots in every single match, I think more people are going to kind of catch on to the logic that I'm laying.
And I'm certainly catching on to it. Look, I'm a huge fan of American Alpha. I know you are too, but we've always got to be honest. And I do hope American Alpha are able to grow and adapt and evolve and all that good shit, whereas Gargano and Ciampa, they are really now, like before when they were just teaming up, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But they really, for the first time tonight, and I really shouldn't say for the first time, but this really punctuated, they are a team. They felt like a team in this whole thing, and I freaking loved it. This was amazing.
Which is also hilarious because they faced each other on tonight's CWC episode that we need to look into.
Right. And, I just thoroughly enjoyed this. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Revival dropped the titles to Gargano and Ciampa at TakeOver back to Brooklyn. I feel like the Revival, this was their second reign. I feel like they only got it because last minute it was decided American Alpha was going to be called up, so the finish was changed. So knowing that, I almost feel like they're going to go back to Brooklyn, have a great match, but they're going to drop the titles. I really do believe it's Gargano and Ciampa's time.
Yeah, and especially because both tag team divisions on the main roster, both Raw and SmackDown, feel very shallow. I mean, SmackDown, you've got American Alpha and then who?
Right.
On Raw, it's the New Day and Enzo and Cass, and then maybe like the Club and the Dudley. So maybe they would have to go to SmackDown because Raw's tag division does feel a little bit more stacked, whereas SmackDown's is pretty much one team and then a bunch of nobody.
Right.
And I don't think anyone could complain about more Alpha Revival.
Oh, I certainly wouldn't. I mean, that's my feud of the year right now. So, I mean,
yeah. Oh, that's nice little Easter, John. I didn't.
Well, remember I even said after their 2 out of 3 Falls match, like I was just telling everybody right now, like that's my feud of the year. Like they had 3 matches and every single one of them felt distinct to me. And yeah,
I can't wait for Lucha Underground Season 3 to come along and blow them out.
And they may. And they look, anything can happen. The year is still young yet, despite the fact that we're already in August. But like there's always time. But right now, yeah, those 2 teams tore it up. And if the Revival were to be called up, I would not mind that feud being a go-to thing for one of the tag divisions. And it would, of course, probably be SmackDown because American Alpha is on SmackDown. But in the present with Gargano and Ciampa, they looked mighty fine with those NXT tag team titles. And I hope we see more of that image real soon. So we'll see.
Yes,
but do you have anything else you want to say about this segment?
I don't believe so. I think that we pretty much talked about everything I wanted to talk about.
All right. right, well, time to get to our next segment, high spots and low shots. My low shot going to make it very simple, Mojo Rawley, because the NXT champion made him his bitch.
You're not even wrong.
Yep. What's your low shot?
My low shot's going to have to be TM61 because they wanted an opportunity and they got it, and they failed. So, nice try, guys, but no go.
All right, well, my honorary high spot is Ember Moon, again, because, you know, I'm going to do what I want, but more seriously, like, she got a debut date, she's debuting at a TakeOver, and I'm just freaking hyped. My actual high spot, Asuka, and I even put in my notes, enough said.
Oh.
Because, like, she whooped that ass tonight.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, so Asuka's my high spot.
Well, because you didn't take your own personal favorite thing that happened tonight that wasn't Ember Moon's video.
Right.
My honorary high spot is going to be Bobby Roode.
Oh my god, this is going to be so great. So great.
He would probably cut a promo on me for only making him my honorary high spot, but my actual high spot is Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, because they had an opportunity to show some personality tonight, and they grabbed that opportunity by the balls and did a great job with it. And they came out of tonight posing with the NXT Tag Team Championship.
Oh, dude, that's a great choice, and well-deserved. Like, I wouldn't contend that. On my best day, they did quality work tonight. That's what the high spot is for. And they showed up and they owned it tonight. Love your honorary high spot as well. It's almost like Bobby Roode wants to commit gentrification of sorts on the NXT arena, get all the lower people out in his mind, and get all the richer, wealthier people with deeper pockets in. And I approve of that mission. I approve of that message. And we'll see if he succeeds or not. But I love your pair of honorary and actual highlights tonight, dude. Great stuff.
I'm just waiting for the NXT arena to start turning their back on Bobby Roode matches like they did.
Well, they didn't deserve to watch them anyway, so I hope they do it. They'll be doing everybody a favor. Freaking eyesores. Anyway, anything else you want to say about that?
You're not even
I
wrong.
know, right? Anything else about this episode?
No, I'm talking about it because, like I said earlier, you know, I'm not feeling great, but I'm extremely enthusiastic about this episode of NXT, and I'm glad we got the opportunity.
Honestly, this is the only thing that really felt right today, and I want to thank everybody that's going to listen to this because I'm being, yeah.
And even then, we had a freaking issue with MP3 Skype recorder halfway through the recording, and this sound quality is probably going to be garbage. So, you know, it's as right as it gets this day.
Hey, anybody that listens to this and still supports us and goes through this with us, I want to thank you right now. Because just the thought of getting all the feedback and everything really put a smile on my face. And talking about Bobby Roode put more than a smile on my face, and certainly Ember Moon the same way. So this is just the medicine the doctor ordered. And I love talking about it tonight. I'm glad we got to do this. But with that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary action. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Partner, what question you have for our subscribers this week?
Well, do you think anything interesting is going to go down during the Bayley Asuka contract signing, or do you just think it's going to be contract signing and then we all go to the back skipping and picking flowers on the way?
All right, good question. What do you guys think is going to happen in the contract signing? Is something going to go down? Is it all going to be hunky-dory? Get that conversation started down in the comments. And guys, you know, like we said, we're going to catch up on G1, you know, the days that we missed. Cruiserweight Classic, you know, we're going to catch up on that. That's a bit tentative, though. Again, you know, that's got to be high energy. And my cohort commentary here has been through a hell of a lot. But stick with us. Your subscription box is still going to get all that action. And until then, tune in and peace out.